former WBA, WBO flyweight champion of the world, El Gallo, Juan Francisco Estrada. And across the ring, his opponent fighting out of the red corner, wearing yellow with red, officially weighing in at 114.8 pounds. An outstanding record consisting of 43 victories, 39 by knockout. He has 4 defeats and 1 draw. From Srisaket and Bangkok, Thailand, the reigning, defending WBC super flyweight champion of the world, Srisaket Wangkek, aka Srisaket Sor Rungvisai.
Srisaket, come on, only 2. Him only or you only, not both. Come here, Bank. Exchange the flags, please, fellas. Okay. Mouthpiece. Mouthpiece. Put it in. In his mouth. I gave you both instructions. I want to remind you, listen and please follow my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Bank, tell him these trunks are high. I'm going to let the action work in here. Estrada, yours are right at the belt line. I'm going to let it work in here as well. Again, good luck, fight hard, fight clean. Go back to your corners. Thanks, Mike.
This era in this tiny weight neighborhood is being defined by fights like this, by this fight tonight. Much as a previous era in a different weight class, also a small one with Morales and Barrera and Juan Manuel Marquez were defined by the fights you saw among that group. Chocolatito, now Sor Rungvisai has entered into it. Estrada. These fights, this fight tonight, will go a long way toward defining this era at Superfly.
And Andre Ward, as the fight begins, I come back to that 3 or 4 pound weight advantage, unofficially, that Sor Rungvisai apparently enjoys in the ring. That could be significant because he is a come-forward tank.
It could be, but it also could work against him. If he took the weight off too fast, sometimes the body will crash the weight back on. It'll give it to you just like you took it off. So we got to let the fight unfold to see what type of extra weight that is. So visibly, Sor Rungvisai is clearly the bigger fighter.
Stronger upper body, for sure.
Bigger legs as well.
Estrada is a classic stylist.
He's been waiting for this moment, has had to fight a who's who of the weight neighborhood to get back here after losing a very close fight to Chocolatito. Chocolatito's most significant win of his career. Sor Rungvisai giving Chocolatito obviously his most significant loss, his only losses. Estrada's been waiting to prove that he's not just among the best, but that he is the best.
And both guys have landed some clean shots in the early going.
But Estrada knows. He told us in the fighters meeting, I'm not the stronger guy. Sor Rungvisai is probably more powerful than me. He said, but I've fought tough guys who can hit before. I know what I need to do. And so far, he's given a good account of himself.
When you look at the 4 losses on Srisaket Sor Rungvisai's record, it's very important to remember that 2 of those losses came in his first 2 professional fights. And talk about being thrown to the wolves. In his very first professional fight, he fought the Japanese fighter Akira Yaigashi, who was one of the best fighters in the division at that time.
Unreal.
Hard left hand by Sor Rungvisai. Estrada took it well.
There is a sense with Sor Rungvisai he still has something to prove. Most feel he lost the first fight against Chocolatito. He was given a decision. And even in the knockout win against Chocolatito, there was a feeling heading into the fight that Chocolatito may have been a shot fighter.
or may have gone up too far in weight. That 115 pounds was simply too big for Chocolatito, who had been dominant at 108 and 112.
Good straight right from Estrada.
Crowd loves that.
Precision.
You can feel that it's an Estrada crowd. But the way Sor Rungvisai knocked out Chocolatito made a statement. He's a scary kind of power puncher.
But even when you're on top, Max, you know it's always something to prove. In this sport, you're only as good as your last fight anyway.
Good, quick left-hand counterpunch there by Estrada as Sor Rungvisai was rushing after hearing the 10-second clap. And there's the bell.
Good, good. Very good, very good, very good. Very good. Good, good. Good. Use your front hand, use your front hand, use your jab. Start throwing your left, start throwing your left. Start feint. Feint and then throw the hook. Feint and throw the hook. Throw it straight and then the hook. Straight and the hook. Stay busy on your feet. Stay busy on your feet. Very good, very good, very good. Breathe, breathe, breathe. We need you to breathe.
Andre, I'm always delighted to see Jack Reese in the ring. To me, he's a very smart, no-nonsense referee. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, he's reffed several of my fights. He's no nonsense, like you said, and he's going to make you abide by the rules.
He also thinks a lot about refereeing, takes the job very seriously.
As he should.
Stop.
One thing I took away from the fighter meeting with Estrada is he gave Sor Rungvisai his credit. Sometimes fighters, as a defense mechanism, they'll try to shield themselves from the strengths of their opponent to make themselves feel better. Estrada's a veteran. He knows I have to acknowledge what Sor Rungvisai does well so I can prepare physically but also psychologically. So right now he looks like he knows Sor Rungvisai is the more powerful guy. He knows about the big left hand, but he's doing what he has to do to negate the power of Sor Rungvisai at the moment.
Yes, it seems to me Estrada has been outboxing Sor Rungvisai so far. Usually pressure fighters take a few rounds to start really cooking. And Sor Rungvisai is a pressure fighter. The question is, if and when he starts cooking, how does Estrada react to those power shots?
Our interpreter, Jerry Olaya, has just let us know that between rounds 1 and 2, and this is interesting, Andre, in terms of the notion of downplaying what the other guy can do, and you were giving Estrada credit for saying, you know, that he understands who Sor Rungvisai is. Between rounds 1 and 2, Estrada said to the people in his corner, this guy definitely has big-time power.
Yeah, but if we didn't hear that, we wouldn't be able to tell from Estrada's body language that he felt that.
That's right.
That's what being a veteran fighter is all about in a championship fight. You don't show your weaknesses. You don't show the way you actually really feel.
And when a fighter is going up against an opponent with big-time power, if he fights like he's scared, in boxing that's called being a scary fighter. If he fights as a scary fighter, the irony is he's more likely to get hit with big shots. Estrada is fighting with courage, and therefore his defense is likely to be better than if he was overly concerned with it.
It'll heighten his senses the way they're supposed to.
Not an outlet. Jack Reese rules it a trip and gets him back into action in a hurry. Great right hand by Estrada. And another great right hand by Estrada. And the third.
Precision, Jim. Precision. It's not the hard shot. It's the accurate shot.
That was an excellent round for Juan Francisco Estrada, who demonstrated his counterpunching mastery against Sor Rungvisai. 3 rounds, 1 and 2, and this is interesting, Andre. In terms of the notion of downplaying what the other guy can do, and you were giving Estrada credit for saying, you know, that he understands who Sor Rungvisai is. Between rounds 1 and 2, Estrada said to the people in his corner, this guy definitely has big-time power.
Yeah, but if we didn't hear that, we wouldn't be able to tell from Estrada's body language that he felt that.
Our interpreter, Jerry Olaya, has just let us know that between rounds 1 and 2, Next Saturday, it's an intriguing light heavyweight doubleheader with big potential ramifications. First, hard-charging Dmitry Bivol attempts to show he's tops in the division against Sullivan Barrera. Then, Sergey Kovalev aims to show he's still the crusher against Igor Mikhalkin. April 28 brings middleweight Daniel Jacobs back to his roots in Brooklyn, New York, to face Maciej Zaleski of Poland. Also that night, undefeated heavyweight Jarrell Big Baby Miller, also from Brooklyn, faces Frenchman Johan Duhapol. And there's Bivol seated here at ringside. Next Saturday, across the country against Sullivan Barrera, the soft-spoken Bivol, and you see the gentle smile there, is a fearsome puncher who is putting on quite a show at this point in light heavyweight fight.
And I love that matchup because Sullivan Barrera will find out about Bivol. Bivol will have to answer some of the questions we have about any prospect, and if he doesn't have to, that will speak to just how devastating a fighter he is.
If you have any boxing skill deficiency, Sullivan Barrera will find it. He couldn't beat Andre Ward, but he looks like he can beat just about anybody else.
Couldn't win around from Andre, as it turns out. That win's looking better and better for you, Andre.
It is, but Barrera's the real deal. He's a very, very crafty fighter, experienced fighter, Cuban background. He's the real deal. Any questions we have about Bivol will be answered in that fight against Sullivan Barrera next week.
Round 3 of the scheduled 12. Srisaket Sor Rungvisai in the yellow with red trim. Juan Francisco Estrada in the black with gold.
So far, Estrada, who came in as a favorite, actually, you could see why. Because on paper, Sor Rungvisai's style plays into Estrada's counters. But because Estrada's not impossible to hit, and Sor Rungvisai is such a powerful puncher and body destroyer, it really is, as I mentioned off the top, Jim, a pick-em kind of fight, and now we're seeing Sor Rungvisai start to really unload with some shots.
Well, there are some interesting CompuBox statistics regarding Sor Rungvisai. In terms of numbers, he is the most body punch-centric fighter in the sport, and he's the most power punch-centric fighter in the sport. He is coming to take your body. And to the craft, no secret about it.
Exactly, but due to the craft of Estrada, he's not able to get those same body shots off tonight. Estrada's taking his punch count down just a little bit.
And inviting him to throw upstairs rather than downstairs.
I mean,
which is not his game.
So far in this fight, I would rather be Estrada in each of the rounds.
And if you look at what Estrada's doing, he's not overcommitting, leaving himself open for the big shots of Sor Rungvisai, even though he got hit with a few punches there. Estrada's touching to the body, but he's staying in range. He'll turn a left hook over if Sor Rungvisai overcommits, and he'll stick a jab out where need be, but he's not overcommitting. It's too early in the fight for that.
And Max, at this moment in this round, I'm not certain that by the end of the round, I'm going to want to be Estrada.
I agree. I think Sor Rungvisai turned the tide, as I said that, Jim, and has landed some shots that you could see have concerned Estrada.
Well, the concern will always be there because this man has bricks in both hands. But we got to see Sor Rungvisai show something else.
But he's starting to loosen his hands. He's starting to let them go. And just by doing that, Andre, he's having much greater success.
He is, but Estrada's answering.
I'll tell you what. I don't care how great a boxer you are, and Estrada is a great boxer. You're going to fight Srisaket Sor Rungvisai, you'd better be ready to fight. It is a fight.
No one's getting off easy tonight.
And there is Estrada's wife, Viviana Gallardo. Beautiful and nervous.
Crouch a little bit more, all right?
Dame la vaselina.
All right, give me the Vaseline.
Te voy a decir algo.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Está pasando. Nomás una indicación.
Just one thing, okay?
Él está pasando aquí, mira.
When he's
Está
slipping the
pasando
punch
aquí.
here,
Pasa aquí. Es un recto, nomás para
it's a
medirlo
straight
y
shot,
levántalo.
right? And then you bring it up. Or straight with the right and bring him up, okay?
Y está de zurdo, mira, pasa.
Here we see Estrada take a half step back, turns over a short right, and a left uppercut to the chin of Sor Rungvisai, similar to the great Juan Manuel Marquez, who is Estrada's favorite fighter and idol.
By my lights, the most skillful and creative counterpuncher in the last 20 years, Juan Manuel Marquez.
I agree with that.
Amazing counterpunching skills. We enter round 4 of the schedule 12. Harold Letterman, our unofficial ringside scorer, as always. How do you have the first three, Harold?
Okay, Jim. I got a 2 rounds to 1, 29-28. Srisaket Sor Rungvisai. Jim, I just think that Sor Rungvisai is the harder hitter, and I think he's doing more damage. But in round 2, certainly Juan Francisco Estrada won that round. He boxed really well, and Sor Rungvisai didn't get him as often. But Sor Rungvisai had a good round in the first, and I thought he had a decent round in the third. But this is a very, very close fight. 2 rounds to 1, Srisaket Sor Rungvisai.
I agree with Harold, except I flipped the first round, and I think Estrada's up 2-1.
Hey, this is the same as in the last fight. We've got a very close fight. Intelligent judges with great backgrounds could easily score the rounds differently, and there'll be a strong argument either way.
So Rungvisai, the way he calmly comes in and just throws those bombs and acts as though the counters don't bother him, is the classic power punching pressure fighter. Estrada's calmness and experience will serve him well in this fight, I think.
You could knock Rocky Marciano's nose off his face, and he would act as though it didn't bother him at all.
Marciano's who I have in mind when I say that.
Estrada's a guy who likes to step on the gas in the second half of a fight. He likes to establish himself in the first half, and then he starts to pick it up down the stretch.
Well, we mentioned that CompuBox statistical definition by which Sor Rungvisai was the most body punch-centric fighter in the sport, and that is changing before your very eyes. And you've already pointed out, Andre, that Estrada is doing things to make sure that he can't land as many body punches as he has in previous fights, and it's working. He's landing 3.5 body punches per round compared to 9.1 per round in his last 7 fights coming in. So that's a big change to which Sor Rungvisai is going to have to adjust.
Sor Rungvisai's fighting like he knows he has the power, the punching power to change the fight in a moment.
But Estrada right now is getting his as well. And he's also looking at shots that he's not taking right now that he wants to take as the fight progresses.
And he's been doing that all fight, I think. But Sor Rungvisai, in the last couple of rounds, just by being more active, has tightened it up.
No doubt, no doubt. Good counter from Estrada right there.
Seconds to go in round number 4.
Big right hand.
Rungvisai comes on, lands a hard left hand, lands another hard left hand, and takes 1 shot from Estrada. But that was a big rally at the end of the round for Srisaket Sor Rungvisai.
Started with a lead right hand from Sor Rungvisai.
Good, good, very good, very good. Very good, I need you to keep it up. Just like that, just like that. Let him come in, let him in. Left and right, left and right. Left and right, left and right. Yes. Keep active, left and right.
Here we see Sor Rungvisai shoot the left hand that misses and does what we call a swivel jab. Brings his jab back to the face of Estrada, and it definitely got Estrada's attention.
That swivel jab is like a power punch.
It is a power punch.
It was like a swivel head, more like.
In round 4, Rungvisai landed a fight high 6 body shots. Getting there, slowly but surely. Crowd is a little quieter now.
You know, another thing Sor Rungvisai has done in this fight is by not attacking with reckless abandon, he hasn't added to the power on Estrada's counters. He's not running into counters. And that's, well, there he did.
That looked like a clean punch, but also a slight push.
And Jack Reese sees the push and rules it not a knockdown. Crowd doesn't like it. He would love for Estrada to get a knockdown point at some point. Sor Rungvisai reacts as though he's getting up from a knockdown.
But you see why running into the shot is twice as devastating. It's like a home run hitter facing a fastball pitcher. The harder it comes in, the faster it goes out. And Sor Rungvisai, when he attacks with more reckless abandon, gives Estrada greater power punching, counter punching opportunities.
And you can tell that that's Estrada's game plan. Like, he wants Sor Rungvisai to overcommit and run into one of his shots so he can do damage and ultimately get Sor Rungvisai's attention.
And that's a way in which Sor Rungvisai has progressed as a fighter as opposed to early in his career. He takes little half steps back. He disrupts the rhythm of the counter puncher. He doesn't simply run forward.
And you see that. You can see Sor Rungvisai thinking. He has a game plan. To the naked eye, it may not seem like it. It may seem like he's a straightforward, all-power guy, but he is thinking, and he knows Estrada's a crafty fighter.
He's discovered that if he feints to the body or throws the right hand to the body, he might get a free shot upstairs with the left hand.
Or when he takes that little half step back, the counter puncher is a little afraid to counter, because if he extends himself, not only does he waste the energy of the shot, but he leaves himself open to Sor Rungvisai's attack.
Look at the size of Sor Rungvisai's calves. I mean, that's almost unnatural for a 115-pound fighter.
Yeah, I'd pay big money to have those calves.
Good straight left hand to the body by Sor Rungvisai.
Nice straight left hand.
Hard left hand shot upstairs. Affected Estrada.
And essentially, he's landing that because he's basically aiming it at the chest, center mass. And he can adjust last second where he wants to take it, upstairs or down, based on the defense.
And even if you're taking a puncher's another slip or a push from Estrada.
All right, calm down.
Even if you're taking a puncher's punches well, the problem is they're still draining you, whether they're to the head or to the body. You're going to feel them in the latter part of the fight. Good
Hard
straight
left
right.
hands by both fighters.
Absolutely.
Boy, there have been some real good shots upstairs exchanged toward the end of that
Nice round.
And now Sor Rungvisai turns around, lifts his gloves, and plays to the crowd in his corner. Kind of thing I don't think you'll ever see Estrada do.
Good.
Cinco de Mayo, it's the rematch we've all been waiting for as Canelo Alvarez faces Gennady Golovkin for the second time. Back in September, their first fight was judged a highly disputed draw. This time, both superstars are looking for a more definitive outcome, knowing both their legacies are on the line. Don't miss it, May 5, only on HBO pay-per-view.
We've had 2 or 3 of these in this fight. Here we see Estrada land a left hook or block from Sor Rungvisai, but you clearly see both fighters' legs tangled up. Great call from referee Jack Reese.
Pretty doggone close. Jack Reese. Very effective, brilliant referee. Round 6 of a scheduled 12.
The power puncher, here Sor Rungvisai, has an advantage that almost seems unfair. Estrada has to work harder to get the same effect. He can counter once or twice, hit Sor Rungvisai just right, and Sor Rungvisai lands one shot and seems to negate the work.
And you begin to get the impression that Estrada needs to find another tactical answer, another way to keep Sor Rungvisai off balance. In the last round, it was becoming a walk-forward sledgehammer affair for Sor Rungvisai. Good right-hand body shots by Sor Rungvisai.
Very calmly thrown to the body. That good little rhythm disruptor is another subtle difference in Sor Rungvisai's game now compared to a few years ago, Andre. He throws change of pace shots, not everything with full force.
He's definitely thinking in there. Showing more wrinkles in his game.
A softer straight left hand that lands and disrupts Estrada without looking for the knockout on that shot.
Even though this is against conventional wisdom, if Estrada wants to have success against a puncher like this, he's going to have to get closer. You don't run from the power. And I'm not saying Estrada's running, but you don't stay away from it. You actually go to it, and you get mid-range and in close. Estrada has a great inside game, but he's got to be willing to bite down on his mouth guard and get in there if he's going to have some more success. Because where he's playing right now, it's dangerous ground with a guy like Sor Rungvisai.
At the end of Sor Rungvisai's power, you mean?
Absolutely.
Ever since the move to weigh-ins the day before the fight, more than 30 years ago, weights in boxing have now become so deceptive. We call this superfly. They weighed in under 115 pounds. But tonight, in reality, in the ring, Sor Rungvisai is a hard-punching junior lightweight. And Estrada is a skilled boxing featherweight.
Super duper fly.
Yeah.
You mentioned Sor Rungvisai thinking, Andre. He is thinking step for step with a thinking man's fighter, which for a power puncher is very encouraging.
Yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive. I didn't think he would show this much nuance tonight. Even though I would like to see Sor Rungvisai use his right jab a lot more. The left hand that he's looking for, he can get it if he blinds Estrada with the jab. But again, that's a lost art in the sport. Everybody wants to be the two-fisted attacker, and they don't want to use the jab.
That said, he just outboxed Estrada for about a 30-second stretch in the middle of the ring.
He did.
In fact, we're about to go to Harold Letterman for his score, and I'm fascinated to see. After he had it 2-1 early for Sor Rungvisai, does he now have it 5-1 for Sor Rungvisai? Harold, what's the answer to that?
Okay, Jim, I got it 5-1 for Sor Rungvisai, just like you said. You know, Jim, he's working the body really well. You know, we've been saying over and over and over that he's the best body puncher in the world. Well, he's certainly showing that tonight with that left hand. I mean, Juan Francisco Estrada keeps walking in and keeps getting whacked in the body by Srisaket Sor Rungvisai's left hand. I think Srisaket Sor Rungvisai is the stronger guy. I think he's landing more punches, and he's winning round after round after round. I've got it 5-1, 59-55, Srisaket Sor Rungvisai.
And I see a faint hint of discouragement in the face and the body language of Juan Francisco Estrada, who is trying to function against a bigger, stronger man.
Let's not forget, Estrada lost the first half of the Cuadras fight too, before storming back to win.
Great point.
That's who he is. He's a back half of the 12 rounds type fighter. He wants to close the show.
He's not a front runner. He's a thoroughbred.
Still think he might have to find a tactical answer, a little something different to change what he's doing. Very difficult if you allow Sor Rungvisai to get into a rhythm and a pattern.
Yeah, but you know, that pattern is very impressive so far. He's baiting Estrada into leading at times and actually being the counterpuncher.
Good left hook from Estrada.
Even the timing just there on that soft 1-2. Sor Rungvisai took the half step back, Estrada led, and then once he was slightly off balance, Sor Rungvisai threw a quick 1-2. We've seen
good 1-2 upstairs by Estrada.
Through the years, Jim, a dangerous, in a good way, evolution when the young, crude, power-punching brawler learns the finer points of boxing. He becomes extremely dangerous. We saw it with Marco Antonio Barrera, and Sor Rungvisai is showing a version of that. How when you refine the technique of a guy with this much power, it becomes a very difficult proposition.
You see Sor Rungvisai thinking, like we've been saying, you see him look low and shoot the overhand left high. That's a thinking man's game. He's not just trying to kick the door down. He's checking the back door. He's checking the windows. He's checking the side door. He's trying to find different ways to get in.
Main thing is he's coming to rob your house.
But I still say if Sor Rungvisai picks up the jab, and I don't want to say pick up because I don't think he's used it at all tonight, but if he starts to use the jab, those big shots, namely the left hand that he's looking for, he'll get that. But he's got to start with the jab.
Meantime, what does Estrada have to do, Andre? He hasn't committed any great sins that I can see, and yet he seems to be losing.
I think the sin that Estrada's committing is he's content with where the fight is. He hasn't been knocked down. I'm sure he's been buzzed several times, and he doesn't want to get knocked out. He has to get mid-range and in close. He has to challenge the power of Sor Rungvisai in a smart way.
7 rounds in the books. 5 rounds still to go. World supremacy at 115 pounds on the line.
You're waiting too long. You're waiting too long. I thought you were up, but they said we're down. No, you got to pressure now. You got to pressure. They have us really down, eh? You can't stay there and not throw. You've got to throw. Throw over the top with power and lively. Be sharp. You're waiting for one shot of his? What? You're waiting too long. You're waiting too long, Juan. Are you okay? Yes.
Here we see the tail of the fight. We see Estrada land a hammer, but we see Sor Rungvisai land a sledgehammer. That's the difference.
You know what's crazy about that? Estrada landed the technically much better punch. It should have been the more effective punch. Sor Rungvisai's shot was more of a slapping kind of shot, and yet it landed with more authority. It's simply heavier-handed.
He has thudding power. He has unusual thudding power. How else could you reverse your career the way he did? Left Muay Thai behind, moved from Thailand to Japan, got thrown to the wolves, was knocked out in his first 2 fights, and more or less came up under the radar. How many people would have paid attention when he had 3 losses and a draw in his first 5 fights? But from there on, it was a steamroller. Lost to Carlos Cuadras in a fight that was stopped because of a cut that was created by a butt on Cuadras, and then came in, got a highly controversial decision over Chocolatito, and then annihilated. Great left hook by Estrada, his best punch in a while.
Estrada boxing more sharply this round, period. And Andre, to your point, seems to be getting a little closer with the range.
And beating Sor Rungvisai in the punch, taking over the role of the attacker.
Estrada has to get closer if he's going to find success.
He's listening to his trainer. You heard the big speech from the trainer between rounds. Estrada has paid attention.
It's the difference between being a back foot fighter, as they say in boxing, and being an aggressive counterpuncher.
Sor Rungvisai doesn't care whether that was an official knockdown or not. He wanted Estrada to taste the canvas.
Yeah. People don't realize that if you get pushed down, if you slip, it takes so much energy just to get yourself back up. So even though it wasn't a punch, that's a point for Sor Rungvisai.
Absolutely.
In terms of just...
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. The nuances of the fight.
He knew that Estrada was changing the fight, had made a tactical adjustment that was putting him on the defensive. He said, hey, go down.
Let me put you on pause for just a second.
Nevertheless, it's a very good round for Estrada, and it's coming just in time.
Still is.
It's getting closer.
Yes.
Still is. First round he's won in a while.
And then he's going to have to take, and the risk here is that Sor Rungvisai can unload a fight-ending shot at this range. That's the risk he's going to have to take.
If that's the risk that I have to take, you're exactly right, now.
Stakes go up as Estrada decides that he's going to try to win the fight.
Oh, big shot from Sor Rungvisai, taken well from Estrada.
Puncher also has the advantage in terms of scoring, because when the guy with a reputation as the lighter puncher lands really vicious shots, sometimes the judges don't give him the same kind of credit as when the puncher answers back once or twice, even if he's been out-punched.
And then what happens psychologically to the puncher when he lands his best shot and you look at him and you hit him back?
That's what Estrada's finding out this round.
Good, nice, short body shot from Estrada right there. Counter right and left hook.
Real good round from Estrada, competitive, but a good one for him, and he needed it.
Fight-changing round for Juan Francisco Estrada, but he had to absorb some punishment to put it in the bank.
Recuperate, because that's the rhythm you have to work at. That's the only thing we can do. Give me the water. The towel on the floor. All right, you gotta be strong. You gotta be strong, and you gotta attack the body.
Okay, left and right. I want you to throw a straight left and then the right hook. A lot of left.
Here we see another exchange from both fighters and another slip, this time from Estrada. Great call from Jack Reed. Here we see a vicious exchange from both guys. Big left hand from Sor Rungvisai, a big right uppercut from Estrada, and another big left from Sor Rungvisai. This is a battle and a brawl tonight.
In round 8, Estrada landed a fight-high 14 power shots, biggest number for him. You saw the tactical adjustment. You saw him coming forward. You saw him getting closer to Sor Rungvisai. You saw him taking risks.
Sor Rungvisai has not gotten him on the ropes, where you'd figure he'd want a guy like Estrada. But he's done very good work in the middle of the ring.
Sor Rungvisai in the early rounds tried, but if you watch, Estrada gave him lateral movement. He kept the puncher moving and kept his feet unstable, so Sor Rungvisai didn't feel comfortable in that type of setting.
Couple of punches for the first time gave me a sense that Sor Rungvisai may be tiring a little bit.
Remember what George Foreman used to say about a tired puncher, Jim? Sometimes that's when he's at his most dangerous.
There's no doubt that Estrada has to be alert for this whole fight. I don't care how tired Sor Rungvisai look. That's just the name of the game when you're fighting a guy who has bricks in his gloves like Sor Rungvisai. But Estrada has to keep closing the distance. He has to keep working the body and getting in close to Sor Rungvisai if he's going to continue to experience success.
You mentioned Marco Antonio Barrera earlier, Max. Remember how in every one of the 3 Barrera-Morales fights, one guy landed, the other guy was desperate to land back immediately. These 2 guys are competing exactly the same way.
Yes, not with the same intensity, but with the same idea, I agree. And it's not the Sor Rungvisai boxes like Barrera, but as his career has progressed, he's become a championship fighter because he's added nuance to his game, as we've been mentioning.
Anytime you fight a puncher, there's silent agreements that you have to make with yourself from round to round that nobody else knows about but you and you. Do I want to take this risk? Is it worth it? What if he lands a shot? Can I get knocked out cold? You got to find and summon the strength and the wherewithal to get your stuff off, meaning your offense, the way you need to put yourself in a position to win.
Well, Estrada apparently has done just that, because just then over the last 30 seconds, he started to really box Sor Rungvisai's ears off.
Okay, I like that.
Beautiful Rungvisai in front of him. So the opportunity may be there to outbox him.
He's landing, which often happens with a very skillful boxer against a puncher. In this case, Estrada being the skillful boxer. By the middle of the fight, he starts to land head-snapping shots. He's doing it now.
So Juan Francisco Estrada is in the process of trying to mount the same kind of comeback that reeled in a victory over Carlos Cuadras and put him in this position. And we're coming up on round 10. The pivotal event in the fight between Estrada and Cuadras last year was Estrada knocking Cuadras down with a straight right hand in the 10th round.
This looks like a one-point fight to me at this point, to my eyes.
Keep active on your feet. We need you to keep active on your feet. Breathe, 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 breathe.
ยกที่10แล้วนะน้องนะ
Okay, this is 10th round, 10th round. 10th round here coming. You gotta give it.
เด็กลึก
Breathe, breathe. 2 more rounds.
Round 10 of a scheduled 12. Srisaket Sor Rungvisai, the southpaw, against Juan Francisco Estrada, the conventional fighting boxer, puncher, stylist. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim. I got it 6 rounds to 3, 87-84. Srisaket Sor Rungvisai. Jim, I thought that Juan Francisco Estrada had 2 good rounds in rounds 8 and 9 to make this fight a little bit closer. But I thought all the early rounds basically went to Sor Rungvisai because he was the harder hitter, and Juan Francisco Estrada wanted to trade with him in the middle of the round. So anyway, it's getting a little bit closer. I got it 6 rounds to 3. Srisaket Sor Rungvisai.
And I guess, Max, what you would say is that you believe the 7th round was...
the first round I gave to Estrada. I have it 5 rounds to 4, Sor Rungvisai.
So a slight difference there, but a critical difference as we come to round 10.
Estrada keeps showing Sor Rungvisai the straight right, but the shot that he really wants is the left hook.
And Estrada's boxed well this round again. Andre, he did exactly what you prescribed. He stepped into Sor Rungvisai's range, what apparently was his range, and took the fight to him, more aggressively applying his counterpunching skills.
Sor Rungvisai threw a couple of straight left hands to the body. Now goes back upstairs. Estrada countering once again, as he did through most of the early portions of the fight. They're back into this situation where Estrada is in that middle range distance. He's not all the way back. He's there to be hit, but he's there to try to do damage himself.
Very subtle difference, Jim, but I think you're exactly right, and that's why, as Andre pointed out, Sor Rungvisai is having success at that range.
And you take a risk when you decide to fight a puncher like Srisaket Sor Rungvisai in the middle range, rather than to stand back in a boxing-only position.
You can't beat a puncher if you don't take risk. You don't get reckless, but you take calculated risk at the right time, at the right range.
This could be really a pivotal round in this fight. It's competitive. Sor Rungvisai's done much better than he's done in recent rounds. And Estrada, who seemed to turn the momentum of this fight, would probably be well served to rally here in the last 30 seconds.
And it's a power boxing round. Again, Estrada is standing close enough to try to do damage. Sor Rungvisai is taking advantage of the opportunity to make contact to try to box in such an effective way that he can put the rounds away.
You know, Sor Rungvisai's face is starting to show the effects of Estrada's power shots. His eyes are puffy. When he gets hit, his head is rattling a little bit more. Oh, big right hand.
Huge right hand by Sor Rungvisai to punctuate the round. Coming up immediately following boxing, it's a replay of Real Sports. The closing ceremony for this year's Olympic Games may be tomorrow. But learn why countless United States Olympians over the years have been going dead broke, despite the United States Olympic Committee reporting hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Hey, there's big baby Jarrell Miller. We'll see him on the undercard April 28 under the Daniel Jacobs appearance. And Andre Ward, what do you think of big baby?
I think he's big.
And he's no baby.
He's a big boy.
That was the safe play, and I have to respect it.
Nah, he's definitely got upside.
Round 11 of a scheduled 12. There was no knockdown in round 10. That's what happened in the Quadras fight last year. So now Estrada sets himself up once again within Sor Rungvisai's punching range, and you see that Harold Letterman on his unofficial card stretched the lead back out for Srisaket Sor Rungvisai in the 10th round, giving him the round. Probably if we asked Harold, he'd say, hey, did you see that giant left hand at the end of the round? That made the difference.
Could have easily, I mean, I thought Sor Rungvisai probably won that round anyway.
Yeah, it was a big shot, too. So Sor Rungvisai is kind of standing in the middle of the ring and saying, come and get me. And Estrada has no choice at this point other than to try to come and get him. And that makes for action in the last two rounds.
That's really been Sor Rungvisai's strategy after the second round, Jim, to kind of bait Estrada into leading at times when it's uncomfortable for him and becoming the counterpuncher himself, Sor Rungvisai.
In order to put yourself in that position, you got to win some early rounds. And Srisaket Sor Rungvisai was confident enough to believe that he had, whether he had or not, and he's been able to exploit this throughout the fight.
I think what Estrada and Nietes showed us tonight, good shot from Sor Rungvisai.
Down the middle.
Is that you can be a boxer, you can be crafty, and you can still be extremely tough. The two are not mutually exclusive. You don't have to be reckless and wild and call yourself, you know, tough. You can also box and use craft and set things up and be as tough as they come.
Hey, we've been watching it for years. They call them Mexican stars.
Well, that's the highest level of toughness in boxing, because it requires not only courage to take shots and exchanges, but the mental discipline, not just to lose your composure and start winging it and start playing to the crowd. And that's really the toughest kind of fighter. Andre, you were the best example for a while in the sport.
Well, those are the guys that you see last a long time in the sport. Hard left hand by Sor Rungvisai. Another combination from Sor Rungvisai.
Estrada, I think, is going to have to come up with something dramatic here.
Yeah, he's searching for an answer.
Because I have Sor Rungvisai already with 6 rounds won. And Harold has him with 7. Good right hand.
But that was set up from 2 good shots to the body.
Okay, both your scorecard, Max,
good right hand
scorecard are unofficial. As Sor Rungvisai goes back in, seeking to get closer and gets hit with a straight right hand. Down the stretch of that round, Juan Francisco Estrada was able to mount a counterattack and landed some solid shots. That might tighten it back up just a little bit.
Don't want it. Okay, breathe. We need you to breathe. Breathe deeply. Breathe deep. Breathe deeply. Breathe. Last round. Last round. Straight left, right hook. Left, right, left. Left, right, left.
Let's go. Give me the Vaseline. Come on, you gotta put it in all. Let's go for everything. Go for it all. Don't get up. Let's go. Every time he bends down, bring him up. Let's go. Put it all in.
And the clock arrives at midnight on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. And we arrive at the witching hour in every boxing match, round 12 of a scheduled 12. A close fight, or so it would appear, between Srisaket Sor Rungvisai and Juan Francisco Estrada for a world primacy at 115 pounds. If either fighter has the edge, it would probably be the more powerful Sor Rungvisai, who has been firing sledgehammer shots standing in the middle of the ring throughout the fight. But Juan Francisco Estrada has never stopped trying to counter him and has worked hard to try to create opportunities over the past few rounds, particularly in the second half of the fight. Anything could happen on official scorecards as we come down the stretch. Largely Mexican or Mexican-American crowd in the forum, rooting for Juan Francisco Estrada.
You know, I know it doesn't work like this, Jim, but as we're seeing Sor Rungvisai as the guy in the lead because of his big power, if you just look at their faces, it tells the story that Estrada has landed the more effective punches. This is a close fight.
Hard right hand by Estrada. Sor Rungvisai feels the need to answer back right away. Gets in a hard right hand and the left. Sor Rungvisai landing there. Estrada firing again with the right hand. Looking for one more big shot. Crowd rising.
Folks, we could see a 12th round knockout here because they are throwing bombs.
A minute and a half to go. Both fighters selling out in the center of the ring. Tremendous action. Crowd on its feet now, cheering for Estrada. Sor Rungvisai seems boggled by the clean shots he's been hit with here, but firing back himself.
I said Estrada would need something dramatic. This is pretty dramatic. Is it dramatic enough?
The only problem with that, Max, is Sor Rungvisai is hanging right there with him.
Yeah, well, he's hanging there and he's landing big bombs, but he's the worst for the wear this round.
I agree with that. Like we said in the beginning, neither fighter does a lot of talking in the beginning, before the fight, but when they get in the ring, they lay it all on the line, and both fighters are doing that here tonight.
Who's the best super flyweight in the world? 20 more seconds.
Best round 12 we've seen in a while on HBO's World Championship Boxing as Srisaket Sor Rungvisai and Juan Francisco Estrada give everything they've got in the closing 3 minutes of this round. Unbelievable.
Estrada did a lot in that 12th, and he won it. Is that enough to win the fight, to escape a loss?
Both fighters up on the shoulders up there, followers. And Estrada's people leaning over the ropes to ask us, how'd you score it? How'd you score it? Do you think we won? What do you think? They're the ones who are close to us. Power punches in round 12. Sor Rungvisai landed 28 of 112 power shots in the round by CompuBox count. Estrada landed 26 out of 75. So it was Estrada who was somewhat more selective, but Sor Rungvisai who had the volume. Harold Letterman scored the 12th round for Estrada, but had Sor Rungvisai winning the fight 8 rounds to 4, 116 to 112. Harold is unofficial. Harold, we've seen your score 116, 112 for Sor Rungvisai. Who are the 3 official judges who must make this decision?
Okay, Jim. Kathy Leonard, she's judged 10 world title fights. She lives in North Carolina, Jim. They got an awful lot of boxing there, and Kathy has judged 509 fights. Steve Morrow from Hollister, California, he's judged 330 fights. As you see, he's judged 40 world title fights. This is a guy that they use a lot in world title fights. And Dave Moretti from Las Vegas, we know him very well. He's judged 143 world title fights. We have him judging 970 fights. So, 3 experienced judges, and hopefully we'll get a good decision.
Harold, let me ask you one critical question, if it's close. You know Dave Moretti, you know him very well. Do you think he has a leaning, generally, toward the pure boxer or the harder puncher?
Well, I hope he doesn't. I hope he just scores the fight for the guy who won the fight. I mean, if the boxer won, he's got to score it for the boxer. If the puncher won, he's got to score it for the puncher. So, he's an experienced guy. Let's see what happens.
Thank you, Harold.
Welcome.
Nice job diplomatically on that. Kathy Leonard from North Carolina might be scoring Carolina Duke next Saturday night. Let's go to Michael Buffer to tell us who won this drama.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of super flyweight action, we go to the scorecards. A round of applause for both Juan Francisco Estrada and Srisaket Sor Rungvisai. Dave Moretti scores at 114, 114 even. Kathy Leonard has it 115, 113. Steve Morrow scores it 117 to 111 to the winner by majority decision. And still, WBC Super Flyweight Champion of the World, Srisaket Sor Rungvisai.
So majority decision goes to Srisaket Sor Rungvisai. I'm not surprised by a score that was even. I'm not surprised by a close score for Sor Rungvisai. I'm a little bit surprised by 117, 111. Great fight. A rematch may be an option somewhere in the future. I'm not sure it'd be fair to either fighter to bring him back for a rematch right away. Final CompuBox numbers. And by the way, Srisaket Sor Rungvisai did wind up throwing 95% power punches in the fight. He doesn't box, he bombs. He lands 194 and Estrada lands only 5 fewer. Estrada lands at a significantly higher percentage because he throws 208 fewer. Sor Rungvisai in the middle portions of the fight in particular just kept coming, throwing and throwing and throwing. Total power punches. Sor Rungvisai lands 39 more and throws 330 more. So that Estrada lands at a significantly higher percentage with his power shots. But it was a flood of power punching from Sor Rungvisai that ultimately got him the decision. And he stands by now with Max Kellerman.
Congratulations on a really tough, hard-fought win I don't know what the crowd is booing. That was an excellent fight and a fine, close decision. What are your thoughts about this fight?
ครับผมคิดว่าไฟนี้เอสตาด้าเป็นมวยที่ต่อยทนแล้วก็แข็งแรงมากครับแล้วก็ชอบสไตล์ฝีมือของเอสตาด้าครับผม Estrada was a very good fighter. He was a good, strong fighter. I love the style of boxing, and it was a tough fight.
We were talking ringside about how you now look better than you've ever looked in your career. What did you bring into this fight that you weren't able to do earlier in your career?
ครับผมเพราะว่าผมได้กำลังใจจากคนไทยทั้งประเทศไทยครับผม Right now it's because I have the support of Thailand and I'm thankful to all the Thai people that came.
After a good start by you, Estrada seemed to come on and capture the momentum and make it a close fight again. What were you thinking toward the closing rounds of the fight?
ครับผมตอนนั้นผมมั่นใจมากครับผมคิดว่าผมจะนำเข็มขัดกับประเทศไทยให้ได้ครับผมนะ I was very confident that I was winning, but more importantly, I really want to bring this belt back to Thailand, and Thailand it goes.
Did you feel that you had something to prove coming in tonight? A lot of people thought Chocolatito won your first fight, and then it was said he was a shot fighter when you knocked him out, but Estrada is in his prime. He's an excellent world-class fighter. Did you feel like you had something to prove coming into this one?
ครับผมก็ผมขอบคุณแฟนมวยอเมริกาครับผมที่ให้โอกาสผมและก็ให้ผมเป็นขวัญใจของประชาชนครับผม I'm very thankful that the American people saw me fight, but I'm more thankful that the Thai people had accepted me, and I'm here to fight for Thailand.
Would you fight him again? What's next?
ครับใครก็ได้ครับผมตอนนี้115ครับผม I'll fight anybody at 115 and I'll fight Estrada again.
Thank you and congratulations, champ. And congratulations yourself on a tough, hard-fought fight. Your reaction to this decision makes it seem as though you thought you won. What do you think of the decision?
Bueno, yo creo que la gente es el público, el juez, y yo creo que ellos vieron ganarme y yo creo que me sentí ganador en toda la pelea, ¿no?
You know, the people are the judge, and you can hear them that they saw me win, and I thought I won the whole time out.
It seemed to me like a fair decision. I would have been okay with a draw, but I could see him winning. Are you satisfied that that's your best effort? Do you think you can do even better in a rematch?
Bueno, si los jueces vieron esa victoria, pues yo no puedo hacer nada. Yo creo que gané la mayoría de los rounds y pues la gente ahí está, ¿no?
You know, if the judges saw it that way, that's what it is. But I felt I won the majority of the rounds. But the people saw what happened.
Do you want another one?
No, sin duda quiero la revancha o quiero pelear con cualquier otro campeón.
Yes, no doubt, or I'll fight any other champion.
We could see you're disappointed, but as usual, a great effort. It was a pleasure to watch you fight. We hope to see you soon. Jim?
All right. Very quickly now, let's take a look at what you saw tonight.